As with family, hometown and where you come from is a very common topic to come up in the IELTS test. I almost guarantee that in the speaking or writing sections, you will see something about this. And I will say 110% there will be some kind of question in the IELTS speaking test on your hometown. So let's take a look at some vocabulary that we can use. Neighborhood, amenities, peaceful, bustling, suburbs, community, rural, and sprawling. So these are all words that you can use to describe or discuss your hometown. Let's move on to neighborhood. Now, a neighborhood is a very small section of a community. For example, there may be many neighborhoods in your town or village or city. It's a small area of a place. Could often be a road. Let's take a look. In my neighborhood, people are usually very friendly. Many central neighborhoods in the city are growing in population. Okay, let's take a look at the next example, which is amenities. So amenities are things that are close by to your hometown that you can go to or use or visit. For example, an amenity could be a post office or a bank or a swimming pool. Different kinds of facilities that have a use and a purpose. Compared to the countryside, cities often have more amenities and things to do. The village added several amenities, such as a school and a small post office. Peaceful. It's quite a easily understood piece of vocabulary. Peaceful, quiet, relaxing. I much prefer living somewhere quiet and peaceful like my hometown. The village where I am from is very peaceful. And now we have bustling, which in some respects is the opposite of peaceful. Bustling is often used to describe a very busy, lively place. Quite often a city, for example. Let's see some examples. On my first trip to the city, I was surprised by how bustling and busy it all was. I come from a bustling town located in the north of my country. Okay, bustling, busy, active, lively. And next up is suburbs. Suburbs are located just outside of city centres. They're often very popular places to live because they're not so bustling and chaotic and busy, but they have easier access into the city centre where often people work. Let's see the examples. People living in suburbs increased over a 3-year period to 800,000 residents. An example of IELTS writing sentence there. I've highlighted in blue the noun residents, and we can use this word to describe people who are living in an area. For example, the residents of London are usually very busy. Okay, and the next example. It's true that many people like to live in the suburbs because it's easier to get to work. So there we have suburbs, an area located just outside the city centre. Next up we have community. Community is a similar word to neighbourhood in some respects, but a community is a social group of people who share a common interest. It could be where they live, their hometown, or it could be something else, for example, a music community. But in this example, we'll talk about hometown. The local community were shocked by the recent events in the nearby town. Local community is a collocation we use to talk about the area where people live. There is a strong community feel when you walk around my hometown. Again, another native sounding phrase, community feel. It is often used to talk about somewhere that feels friendly and welcoming, a great or strong community feel. So there's some examples of community in relation to hometown. Next up, we have rural. Rural is used to describe places that are very remote and far away from pretty much anything. For example, if your hometown is 300 kilometers from the nearest city, it might be considered a rural area. In my opinion, people living in rural villages will find getting to school can be more difficult. A rural village has less amenities, but a more natural and wild environment. And here we have sprawling. Sprawling is used to describe cities that the area of the cities goes on for a very long way. For example, a lot of Asian cities are spread across huge distances. They are sprawling cities. Let's take a look at some examples. London really is a sprawling city with many different areas to visit. My hometown in Brazil is a sprawling city that reaches all the way to the coast. So sprawling, if you live in a city that reaches great distances, you could call it a sprawling city. Just to review, here is your 8 pieces of vocabulary for hometown. Try and use them in your own writing and speaking.